What actually gives crypto its value? Why are people willing to pay real money for something digital?
A token's price, it's set by supply and demand. It's worth whatever someone's willing to sell it at and what someone's willing to buy it at that moment. And that's true for basically any other asset. So some people may value a particular crypto because it has a limited supply. For example, there'll never be more than 21 million Bitcoin, and people like that, and they think that scarcity creates value. Or some people may value certain cryptocurrency because of the technology built into it, like something called smart contract that's built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. Or some people may like the real world use cases of certain crypto, like XRPs designed especially for instant transactions and payments. So different people are attracted to different crypto tokens or crypto blockchains for different reasons, and they value them differently. But at the end of the day, what something is worth is simply what somebody is willing to sell it at and somebody's willing to buy it at, and they agree on that price on any given moment of any given day.
Welcome to episode 1 of Crypto Explained. I'm your host and crypto confidence coach, Ali Tager, and I'm so excited to be with you all today. We're kicking off episode 1 with someone who's been at the center of the crypto conversation for years, Stu Alderoty, president of the National Cryptocurrency Association and chief legal officer at Ripple. So if you've ever wondered what crypto actually is, why it matters, and why everyone seems to have an opinion on it, this episode is for you. Stu's going to break it down in a way that your neighbors, your grandmother, even your 10-year-olds can understand. From what crypto really means to how it all works and why you should care, this is going to be your crash course into Crypto 101. So if you've ever been curious but confused, this episode is going to be your gateway to finally getting it. Stu, I'm so excited that you're here with us today. You've been in the legal and finance world for decades. You've seen how traditional systems work up close, and you're also now one of the people helping figure out how crypto can fit into people's everyday lives. So thank you so much.
Well, great to be here.
Awesome. All right, so before we dive deeper into the details, let's do a quick crypto rapid fire. I've got just a few short questions for you that I'd love for you to try to answer in just one sentence or less. Keep it quick without overthinking it. So you're going to say really whatever comes to your mind first.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. What's a myth about crypto that drives you the most insane?
I think that crypto is just a fad. It's just for tech bros. It's full of get-rich-quick schemes. It has no real-world utility. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. What do you think is the most important thing that people need to know about crypto?
Well, crypto doesn't have a type. It's benefiting everyday people from all walks of life. 55 million Americans in the United States own and use crypto. And when you go out there and you start to hear their stories and talk to them, it's illuminating.
Wow, 55 million. That's 1 in 5.
Yeah, you did the math.
What's your personal favorite thing about crypto?
Once you cut through the complexity, it's a brilliant financial tool.
Yeah, totally. And what do you think is the biggest mistake that beginners make when they get into crypto?
Like with any new technology, crypto, I won't say can sometimes feel confusing. It feels confusing. And when people feel confused, they kind of freeze up or they just don't think about things clearly or they don't even want to get involved. But crypto, it has a branding problem. Crypto's a terrible word. It's not. It's just people inherently distrust the word crypto, but we can't put that genie back in the bottle. So it's important to cut through the hype. It's important to cut through the noise. Look, I'm old enough to remember when people didn't trust the internet because they thought that was the place where bad things were just allowed to happen. And quite frankly, I think that's where crypto is. I think crypto is the 1996 moment where the internet was at that time, and we need to get through it.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, unfortunately, there are bad things that happen on the internet. There are bad things that happen everywhere. And so it's really just about educating people so that they can figure out how to safely, smartly navigate it all.
Right.
So what's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone before they try crypto for the first time?
Start small, stay curious, and find really good sources to educate yourself.
Yeah, great advice. That kind of applies to pretty much any new thing. So I love all those answers. And now I'd love to slow it down a little bit and really dive deep into the details with you. Because if we're really going to explain crypto on this Crypto Explained podcast, then we've got to build from the ground up, right? So let's start at square one before we go any further. What really is crypto? Like if you had to explain it to your grandmother or 10-year-old, how would you do that?
So crypto is a way to exchange and store value digitally. And the way they do that, we use a technology called blockchain. So to really even break it down further, Imagine the difference between sending a letter, going to the mailbox, putting a stamp on it, sending it, having to wait 2 or 3 days for the person to receive the letter, and now instantaneously sending a text. That's what crypto allows you to do, except for rather than sending a text, you're instantaneously sending something of value in a digital way.
Oh, that's a good way to think about it. I can't even remember the last time I used a stamp. A lot of people think about blockchain as a mysterious, complicated technology. So, can you help us break down what it actually does without sounding like a computer manual?
Well, I won't sound like a computer manual because I'm a lawyer. I'm not an engineer. But blockchain, it's a digital record. It tracks and verifies every transaction made on the chain. And this is the real light bulb moment when you get it. The digital record, it's permanent, it's secure, meaning no one can change it, and it's maintained without any one central actor or middleman. So think about it as an open ledger or an open notebook that constantly updates itself. Anyone and everyone can see it, but no one can go back and change its history.
I love that analogy. That's super, super useful. So let's talk a little bit about transparency. You mentioned that anyone can see it. And I know people have to verify things on the blockchain. So what does that really mean?
So that's the beauty of this technology. Blockchain people talk about it as being decentralized. What does that mean? It means it doesn't have one boss who controls the chain, or you have to go through that intermediary. Control is spread out across thousands of computers all over the world. Everybody has a copy of the same blockchain database and record. And if someone makes a transaction, everyone has to agree that the blockchain rules were followed before that transaction gets added to the chain. And that happens instantaneously because essentially what we're doing is following the rules of the blockchain, which at the end of the day are really mathematical rules. So if someone makes a transaction and the rules of the blockchain is 2 + 2 = 4, the chain can quickly check that 2 + 2 = 4, add that transaction to the chain. It is permanently there. The whole history of the blockchain can be seen, and then it waits for the next transaction to get validated. But again, no one person, entity, company is that gatekeeper. Everyone who's participating in the blockchain are verifying the transaction.
So what I'm hearing is it's not magic, it's just math.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Why do we all agree that 12 of something equals a dozen? Because that's the rule. We all know it. No one can change it. And the blockchain permanently codes rules like that into the network.
Very cool. Here's the big one. What actually gives crypto its value? Why are people willing to pay real money for something digital?
So, look, at the end, a token's price, it's set by supply and demand. So it's worth whatever someone's willing to sell it at and what someone's willing to buy it at that moment. And that's true for basically any other asset, even gold. So some people may value a particular crypto because it has a limited supply. For example, there'll never be more than 21 million Bitcoin, and people like that, and they think that scarcity creates value. Or some people may value certain cryptocurrency because of the technology built into it, like something called smart contracts, and we could maybe talk about that later. That's built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. Or some people may like the real world use cases of certain crypto, like XRPs designed especially for instant transactions and payments. So different people are attracted to different crypto tokens or crypto blockchains for different reasons, and they value them differently. But at the end of the day, what something is worth is simply what somebody is willing to sell it at and somebody's willing to buy it at, and they agree on that price on any given moment of any given day.
That's a great point. It really is like anything else. I mean, why are people paying, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for Pokemon cards or Labubus or Beanie Babies or whatever the hot toy of the moment is? It really is about the value that people give to it. And like you said, supply and demand. Crypto used to sound super tech bro, but now we've got companies like Nike doing NFTs, companies like Starbucks offering loyalty points through crypto, and companies like PayPal using blockchain. What do you think changed? What made crypto go from this sort of niche internet thing to something that the average person might be using today without even realizing it?
So I still think we have a long way to go. But over the last several years, crypto and the technology behind it, I think, has been overshadowed by a lot of misinformation and a lot of mistrust. And quite frankly, here in the U.S., an incredibly hostile regulatory environment and a general lack of understanding. And we've seen that play out before, multiple times with all sorts of young industries. Railroads in the 1800s went through a boom and bust cycle. Same thing with automobiles in the 1900s. Same thing with internet in the 2000s. That was the bubble that burst. And most recently, we're seeing it in AI. So what we see in all of this is hype followed by boom, followed by bust, followed by consolidation, and ultimately followed by real world acceptance to the point where you can't even imagine a world without the technology, even if you don't understand how it all works. Who would have thought that we're all walking around with supercomputers in our pockets called iPhones? No one could have predicted that 25 years ago.
Totally. Just as a quick aside, I actually used to work in the AI space, and I remember when that tech first came out, people were afraid of deep fakes and robots were going to take over the world. And now we use ChatGPT and Gemini and all of these tools every day to make our lives so much easier. And so excited to see crypto sort of follow on that same journey.
Yeah, it's hard to predict the future. In the movie Back to the Future 2, which came out in 1985, the future they were predicting was 2015. And the future they predicted was one of flying cars and skateboards. So, predicting the future, we never get it right. I think past is prologue in a lot of these things. But eventually, technology, if it's going to make the lives of people better, will find a way to insinuate itself into our lives in a way that we won't notice. And that's what I think with crypto. I think crypto is here. It's here to stay. It is not going away. And I don't. That's why I think people need to be educated about it. They don't need to be, or they shouldn't be scared about it, because it's going to be. If you see someone today with a flip phone, you're like, what are they doing, right? And because they haven't accepted the new technology yet, and you don't want to. I just don't think you don't want to be that person, right? So you're not going to really notice it, but crypto will change people's lives in big ways and small ways. Everyone will eventually get there, but a lot of people are getting there now. And of those 55 million Americans that own and use crypto that we talked about, 73% of them, I will say three-quarters of them, say that crypto has actually improved their life. It's made their life better. And those people, they want to see America become the U.S. leader in this space. So we've gone from this position of incredible regulatory hostility with the prior administration, and this administration, the current administration, has made great strides to help provide clearer and more comprehensive guidance when it comes to crypto regulation. And crypto regulation is a good thing, because that will help businesses and consumers alike better understand and really trust how they can responsibly engage with the technology. So hopefully we're past the hype, we're past the negative narrative, we're past the negative regulatory environment. We are now moving forward. We'll focus now on the ways that crypto can help improve people's everyday lives. I think word of mouth buzz is spreading through neighborhoods, and everyone seems to be talking about crypto. You can't pick up a paper or an online version of a paper, or turn on the news or wherever you get your information feed without seeing one or two crypto stories every cycle. But again, let's focus on the real world utility. Let's focus on the real people who are using this. How is it improving their lives, and how can it improve folks' life even more going forward?
Totally. I love that. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing every week on Crypto Explained, helping people understand what this technology is, how it works, and how it can fit into their everyday lives in some really cool, surprising ways and some really boring, simple ways. So let's talk about the real world utility of crypto. Can you give me a few real world examples of how people are actually using this technology today beyond just investing, trading, buying, and selling
Yeah.
coins?
So I get this question a lot. And again, I go back to that 1996 internet moment. There's a great clip on the internet of David Letterman interviewing Bill Gates in the 1990s. And, why do I need a web browser? And Bill Gates says, well, you're interested in cigars, David. Like, you can find out about cigars. He goes, well, that's why I order Cigar Magazine. So, I get this question a lot, like, why do I need crypto? There are tons of uses beyond speculation and investing. You can send money instantly anywhere around the world. You can build apps on top of crypto. You can use crypto to monetize something you own. Like if you're an artist, you can use crypto for gaming rather than virtually trading tokens or things that you find on your game site. You actually own them, and you then can trade them. They become things like something that actually has value. And this comes as a surprise to a lot of people, and I think we'll learn more about this in the coming months and years. But retailers like Whole Foods or Chipotle, or movie theaters like AMC, or not-for-profits like Movember, concert venues, travel sites. They're all starting to accept crypto at checkout. And now with real-world assets like stocks and currencies and artwork and real estate coming onto the chain, you can tokenize those things so they can actually move more quickly and be traded more quickly. And you can fractionalize shares. So what does that mean? It means if I want to invest in an acre of land, I then can tokenize that and break that up and start to sell fractional interest in that acre of land because I have tokenized it. We know people, and we've spotlighted them on the NCA's website. I invite you to go on and look at these spotlight series of, again, the real people who are using these: single moms, real estate developers, cattle ranchers, artists, not-for-profit philanthropists, parents who are just trying to get through the day and figuring out how they're going to pay for college. All of this is now being driven by the crypto economy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up real estate. We'll definitely get lots more into that in a future episode because there's just so much happening there with crypto. But it reminds me of Brandon, whose story is on the NCA's website. He is investing in tokenized real estate, and he actually told us he owns a slice of property in 26 of the 50 states, which is so cool when you think about the housing market in the U.S. right now and how so many people are getting boxed out of the American dream and owning a home. So it's really exciting to see all the creative ways that people are embracing this technology. So let's talk a little bit more about why people are so excited about this. What are the real benefits of crypto?
So again, for individuals, and when you talk to them and you hear their stories, the hype starts to go away and you start to see the reality of it. Crypto offers accessibility, since anyone with an internet connection or access to Wi-Fi, you can use it. Faster payments, lower fees, greater privacy, greater control. And all of that is providing real-world benefits to everyday Americans. For businesses, crypto can speed up transactions, cut out the middleman, cut out cost, help attract and retain new customers, offer global reach, a new way to reward your shoppers. We talked about the unbanked, and sitting here in the U.S. and you're like, what do you mean unbanked? Everybody has access to a bank account. You talk to some people, they don't have access to a bank account. Either that they're in relationships where their partner is taking control of all of the finances, and the partner, either through death or divorce or some other life event, is no longer around, and they're left, guess what, with no access to the financial system. If you have that access to your computer, if you have that access to the internet, you will always have access to your crypto, and you can always trade, buy things, invest, move that value. It is yours. No one can take it away from you.
Yeah, it really is a new way to solve age-old
Yeah.
problems. Crypto gets called trustless. This is an interesting one I'd really love your perspective on. It sounds bad, right? But I think it's actually a good thing, and I'd
Yeah.
love your perspective on that.
Yeah, trustless sounds really bad. Crypto really needs a complete rebranding. Trustless sounds awful, like there's no trust. By the way, did you know that inflammable actually means flammable? So it's sort of like, it's like, what do you mean trustless? So trustless means that crypto is powered by that blockchain, that open ledger, that open network we talked about earlier, this permanent digital ledger that tracks and automatically updates itself with every single transaction. And it's visible to anyone in the world, so nobody can secretly edit it or hide information. There's no middleman to trust, which is why we call it trustless. But trust and transparency are at the core of the system, and it's all baked into the rules of the blockchain. So trustless actually means you don't have to trust a middleman, but you can trust the information that is captured on the blockchain because it is what's called immutable. Once recorded, it can never be changed.
Almost sounds more trustworthy.
Yeah, right. That's why we should call it trustworthy rather than trustless.
Well, spoiler alert for our viewers at home. Our next episode, we're going to dive very deep into all things blockchain and how it works. So more to come on that front very soon. But let's take it back to how does crypto make transactions simpler or cheaper?
So crypto cuts out the middleman. It cuts out banks. It cuts out payment processors. It cuts out clearinghouses. And every time you touch a middleman, they're taking a little slice, as we say in New Jersey. They're taking a little taste. And so by cutting out those middlemen, there's less that's being taken off the top. So more of the value is being maintained and owned in the transaction for both the seller and the buyer, or the merchant and the customer. So crypto removes many of the roadblocks, helping of traditional finance, helping value travel anytime, anywhere with fewer stops and lower cost along the way. But to be honest, crypto really works best when it's cooperating with traditional finance. So this is not like, hey, down with the man. We're going to live in a crypto world. We're never going to have to use banks. The two will work together. So, for example, when I want to convert my crypto into dollars, which I think eventually most people do, especially if you want to start buying things or paying people or doing other things in the real world, you're going to need to connect to a bank or just some other traditional finance institution to do that. So this is not like crypto is going to create a nirvana where there's no middleman and there's never any cost. There's still a lot of things that need to be worked out. But I think for crypto to reach its full potential, it will eventually work in concert and complement traditional finance to the point where, again, carrying those supercomputers around in our phone in our back pocket, we don't really know how that happens. And eventually we may even get to the point where I want to use crypto, I want to use dollars, I want to use a tokenized asset. It's all going to be available in ways that you're really not going to understand how it's happening on the back end, but it's all going to be available to you. And that's the world we're going to be moving to, not flying cars and flying skateboards.
Well, good news and bad news. Hopefully one day we do get to those flying cars. But I think that's a really great point. You touched on sort of decentralization earlier and DeFi, as we call it. And I think, the traditional banking system, TradFi, we've seen a lot of sort of headlines sort of pitting DeFi and TradFi against each other, but they already are working together. And it sounds like we imagine a world in which they will continue to do so.
Right.
So I'll definitely have to keep you coming back on the podcast to share more updates on that. Cool. So, Stu, can you paint a picture for me of how crypto can make someone's daily financial life easier or safer?
Sure. So let's talk about two real crypto holders who we have been working with at the National Cryptocurrency Association to tell their story. Hunter, he's a content creator, and he pays his team of video editors around the world. But by paying that many people through the banking platforms, it would take days, and it added fees, and it ate into his working time. So he began paying them with crypto instead. And their money arrived nearly instantaneously. They got to keep more of what they earned, and it simply just made Hunter's life easier. We have Karen, single mom of four, who was left financially kind of restricted following a marriage that didn't end well. She tells her story in a very compelling way. And this is what I was alluding to earlier, like, oh, unbanked, like where's that? Somebody's unbanked in sub-Saharan Africa? No, somebody's actually going to be left unbanked in Texas. And Karen was left unbanked with Texas with 4 kids that she had to take care of. But luckily, she was part of the crypto economy. She kept her crypto on a storage device with her at all times. No one could take it away from her. She was the only one who was able to access those funds. And crypto gave her the autonomy and the ability to support herself and support her children and keep her finances to herself in a way that nobody could take that away from her. So I think those are just two stories of 55 million stories that we have that I think are really compelling. And those are the stories we need to focus on, not the hype, not the crypto bros, not the when are we going to get to the moon, when am I going to buy my Lambo. This is the stuff that's driving the crypto economy.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's interesting how Hunter's using the technology in his professional life, Karen's using it in her personal life, but in both cases, it's sort of a bridge to help themselves, their families, their colleagues, their peers, and I hope to have them both on as guests on the podcast in the not-so-distant future. So we know we talked a little bit earlier about the one thing people need to know before they get into crypto during our rapid fire, but what do you think is the one mindset shift that people need to really make in order to dip their toes into crypto?
Yeah, again, I think a lot of people are held back from trying crypto or even trying to understand crypto because they just think it's overly complicated. Or they think, I've just missed the boat. It's just too late. But it's really not too late. Again, think of internet, 1996. That's the moment where we are at. So it's certainly not too late to get started. And the best way to learn is by doing. So I recommend that everyone start, just understand how to interact with the crypto economy. Because in the years to come, you're going to have to be interacting with the crypto economy to keep pace with what's happening in the real world. Again, going back to an analogy, I remember landlines. I remember telephones in the kitchen. I remember telephones with rotary dials in the kitchen. And that was the only way that you could communicate with somebody. You're at the roller skating rink. You have to make a collect call to your mom. It's like this collect call from, can you pick me up now? And she would say no and hang up, and then she would pick you up now, right? So like that. But now, we've got smartphones, we've got Snap, we've got text, we have instantaneous communication, and you don't want to be the Luddite that was sort of left behind because you didn't embrace that technology. So you don't have to master it all at once. Again, find trusted sources like the National Cryptocurrency Association where you can come to the website, learn. Treat your first crypto transaction once you do tip your toe in the water like your first gym session. You start small. You're not going to, bench press. I don't even know what the right number is, 180 pounds your first time out. Start with, 1 or 2 pound, dumbbells. Start slow. Build your muscle over time. And eventually you will start to learn the technology, and eventually the technology will come and meet you because the technology needs to become seamless. People don't need to focus on how they're interacting, but I think you're going to need to be able to meet the technology at least halfway. And it is the future. As I said, it's not going away.
Yeah. Well, you're inspiring me to play around more with the crypto technology and to go to the gym. So for our viewers and listeners at home who might be crypto curious but also overwhelmed, where do you think they should actually start?
Well, get educated. Come to the NCA's website. We have got a tremendous suite of really simple, jargon-free educational tools. But when you really want to get into it, remember, start small, stay curious. I would say set up a digital wallet. You can go to any exchange, like a Coinbase or an Uphold or a Robinhood, a Kraken. I could keep listing them. I don't want to, promote any one, but those are all reputable ones. You can set up a crypto wallet and buy a small amount of crypto, $10, $15, $20, $50. Send a little bit to a friend or a family member who maybe is already part of the crypto economy. You'll be amazed how quickly it can happen. Maybe you want to explore some beginner-friendly, NFT marketplaces where you can buy, fun things, meme coins and whatnot, and just start owning them for the fun of it. But again, for, more detailed step-by-step support, including, we're going to have an interactive learning portal on the website. We're going to have a crypto simulator where you can actually go hands-on and actually open up a simulated wallet and make some simulated crypto transactions if you don't want to take that step and go to the Coinbase or the Uphold or the Kraken or the Robinhood to learn exactly how to get started. But try it, start small, stay curious, play with it, have fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. Really excited to see the NCA's new resources on that. I think especially the simulator, the idea of for people who they sort of get the basics, they're ready to try it, but they might be nervous to actually connect it to real money. It's just a really safe space for them to play.
Right.
Before we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about the newly formed, or not so newly formed anymore, National Cryptocurrency Association. What is it? Why does it exist? How and when did the idea come about?
So I think this conversation really illustrates why we needed something like the National Cryptocurrency Association. There's a lot of questions out there about what crypto is, what it's not, what it's good for. And there was no place for folks who can come from all walks of life where they can understand where, when, and how they can use crypto responsibly and safely. And the National Cryptocurrency Association, it's a not-for-profit organization. We're not affiliated with any one company. We're not affiliated with any one token. We're not affiliated with any one blockchain. But we are here to help demystify crypto. And we're going to do that by educating, raising awareness, and shining a spotlight on all of those positives that crypto is bringing to real people across the country, like the Hunter story, like the Karen story. And we're cutting through the noise. We're giving voice to those 55 million Americans who are already benefiting from this technology in their everyday lives. And we want to serve as a trusted resource for anyone else who is crypto curious.
Yeah, you mentioned the noise, the hype, the jargon. I know that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had when I was first getting into the crypto space. Any book I read, news article, TV clip, podcast I listened to, there's just so much jargon that assumes that the people who are listening already know it. And I think that actually intimidates people and leaves a lot of people feeling lost and, like you said, scared and just not even wanting to try. So that's exactly what we're here to do on Crypto Explained and with the NCA, help it all make sense to everybody.
Yeah, a lot of what, when I first got into this and I was trying to get up to speed before I started my job, leaving traditional finance, coming to Ripple, read everything I can get my hands on. And it seemed like every book and article I read about crypto, it started like, well, we used to trade money by, we're like rolling rocks and, on boats. And it was like in supply and demand of monetary policy. I'm like, what are you talking about? So like the NCA is just really trying to cut through all of that, get to the truth about who's really using crypto, how and why are they using it, giving those real holders a megaphone to share their experience and help and hopefully inspire others. Earlier this year, the NCA conducted the largest ever study of crypto holders in the United States. And that's where we get the 55 million Americans who own and use crypto, the 20%, the 1 in 5. Who are already using digital assets. And we've been traveling across the country, meeting with them, filming their stories. And it's been incredible. It's been fun. And it's been incredibly educational. And it's been really illuminating. So we've been traveling across the country. We're meeting with these real-world Americans who are owning and using crypto, the Hunters of the world, the Karens of the world. We're filming their stories so people who are curious about crypto can learn firsthand from others like them. And we're sharing our research and we're sharing our resources, and it's all for free on our website. You don't have to pay a membership fee. You don't have to give us sort of any information. It's all there. It's all accessible. We want individuals, we want businesses, and we want policymakers ultimately to have a safe space where they can come, learn about crypto, get away from the hype, get away from the jargon.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's people like you and me that are holding crypto. It's not the quote unquote bro stereotype that I think has held back the industry for so long. So what's the bigger mission here? Is it about education, regulation, innovation, all of the above? And how are we going to know when the NCA's job is done?
Yeah. Well, we're primarily focused on education at this point. And that means that, again, ensuring that everyday Americans, regulators, innovators understand how crypto works, what people are using it for, and the impact that it's having on their lives, the very positive impact. And I think success is going to mean shifting perception of crypto across America towards understanding. And we're looking forward to seeing a rise in safe adoption of crypto, accurate public discourse with policymakers around crypto. And we know that building education and awareness is going to take time. And if you think about it, our job may never be done because I think the technology is always going to evolve. There's always going to be something new that you're going to need to learn about. And the NCAA is always going to have to try to keep up in terms of what we're helping others learn about. And we're going to be learning as we continue this journey ourselves.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is a fast-changing, ever-evolving new tool. And I think it's still, like you said, early days. We have no idea what the future is going to hold. But I can promise every week we're going to be here helping everyday Americans make sense of it all. Stu, thank you so much for being here today and helping break it down for us all. I think a lot of people are going to walk away with a totally new perspective on what crypto even is. And for everyone listening, this is just the beginning. So in our next episode, we're going to dive much deeper, like I said, into how blockchain really works and what you can actually do with it. And spoiler alert, as Stu alluded to, it is about so much more than just finance and trading and investing. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure to hit follow on Crypto Explained and share this episode with a friend who's been crypto curious, crypto cautious, crypto confused, crypto clueless. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.